The year was 2347. Humanity had started to explore the stars only 50 years ago. They had built colonies on Mars and the moons of Jupiter. They had sent ships to distant star systems. But they had never met another intelligent species. They thought they were alone in the universe. They were wrong. Admiral Daniel Morrison stood on the bridge of his ship, the TSS Constellation. He was a tall man with gray hair and tired eyes. He had spent 40 years in the Terran Space Navy. He had seen many things, but he had never seen anything like this. The holographic display in front of him showed hundreds of red dots. Each dot was an enemy ship. He counted them slowly. There were 412 ships in total. They had appeared at the edge of the solar system 3 hours ago. They were moving toward Earth. "Admiral," said Commander Catherine Webb. She was his second in command. She was younger than him, with short brown hair and sharp eyes. "We have identified the ships. They belong to the Draconian Empire." Morrison felt his stomach drop. He knew about the Draconians. Everyone knew about them. They were the most feared species in the known galaxy. They had conquered 17 star systems in the past 10 years. They destroyed everything in their path. They took no prisoners. They showed no mercy. "How many ships do we have?" Morrison asked. 72, sir," Webb replied. "That includes all patrol vessels and defense stations." Morrison did the math in his head. They were outnumbered almost 6 to 1. Their ships were smaller and less powerful than the Draconian warships. This was not a battle they could win, but they would fight anyway. That was what humans did. "Send a message to Earth," Morrison said. "Tell them what is coming. And tell them we will hold the line as long as we can." On Earth, billions of people watched the news. The reports showed images of the alien fleet. The ships were black and shaped like triangles. They looked like something from a nightmare. News anchors spoke in serious voices about what this meant. Many people were afraid. Some were angry. A few were calm. President Linda Harper addressed the world from her office. She was a small woman with white hair and a strong voice. She had been a soldier before she became a politician. She knew what war meant. "People of Earth," she said, "an enemy has come to our home. They think we are weak. They think we will surrender. They are wrong. We have faced hard times before. We have survived every challenge. We will survive this one, too." Her words spread across the planet. People listened in homes and offices and factories. Some cried. Some cheered. All of them felt something change inside them. Fear turned into something else. It turned into determination. Back in space, the Draconian fleet continued its approach. Their flagship was a massive ship, almost 12 kilometers long. It was bigger than anything humanity had ever built. Its weapons could destroy a city with a single shot. A message came from the flagship. It was broadcast on all frequencies. The voice was deep and cold. It spoke in perfect English. "Humans of Earth, we are the Draconian Empire. Your world now belongs to us. Your people will be eliminated. Your cities will be destroyed. Your history will be erased. This is not a negotiation. This is a notification. You have 6 hours to prepare for your end." The message ended. There was silence on the bridge of the constellation. Lieutenant Marcus Cole sat at the sensor station. He was young, only 25 years old. This was his first real assignment. He never thought it would be his last. "Sir," Cole said, "I am reading strange energy signatures from the alien ships. They seem to be scanning the entire solar system." "Scanning for what?" Webb asked. "I do not know," Cole admitted, "but they are very thorough. They are scanning everything. Planets, moons, asteroids, even empty space." Morrison frowned. This was unusual. If the Draconians were here to destroy Earth, why would they need to scan everything first? What were they looking for? He pushed the thought aside. It did not matter. Whatever they were looking for, he could not stop them from finding it. All he could do was fight. All ships, Morrison said into the fleet-wide channel. This is Admiral Morrison. You all know what we are facing. The odds are not good. Many of us will die today. But we are the last line of defense for our home, for our families, for everyone we love. We will not run. We will not hide. We will stand and fight. And we will make these invaders pay for every inch of space they take. The fleet responded with acknowledgments. Morrison could hear the fear in some voices, but he could hear courage too. These were good people. They deserve better than this. The Draconian fleet formed into a crescent shape. It was a classic attack formation. They were preparing to sweep through the human defenders and continue straight to Earth. Their weapons began to power up. Energy readings spiked across the board. Morrison watched the display. The enemy ships were 300,000 kilometers away. They would be in weapon range in less than an hour. He ordered his ships to hold position. Running was pointless. If they ran, the Draconians would simply chase them down and destroy them one by one. Their only chance was to fight together. The minutes passed slowly. Every person on every ship prepared for battle. Weapons were checked and rechecked. Systems were tested. Final messages were sent to loved ones on Earth. Catherine Webb stood beside Morrison. She had served with him for 10 years. She trusted him more than anyone else in the fleet. "Do you think we can win?" she asked quietly. Morrison looked at her. He thought about lying. He thought about giving her hope. But she deserved the truth. "No," he said. "We cannot win. But we can hurt them. We can slow them down. We can give Earth more time to prepare." Webb nodded. She had expected that answer. "Then let us hurt them badly." The Draconian fleet reached optimal firing range. Morrison prepared to give the order to attack. His finger hovered over the command button. His heart beat fast in his chest. And then something strange happened. The Draconian ships stopped moving. All 412 of them. They just stopped. Their weapons powered down. Their engines went quiet. They sat in space like stones dropped in water. Morrison stared at the display. He did not understand what he was seeing. What is happening? He asked. Nobody had an answer. 1 hour passed. Then 2. Then 3. The Draconian ships did not move. They did not fire. They did not respond to any communication. The greatest threat humanity had ever faced had simply stopped, and nobody knew why. 6 hours passed. The Draconian fleet did not move. The ships floated in space like dead things. Their lights were dark. Their engines were cold. They made no sound at all. Admiral Daniel Morrison had not slept since the aliens arrived. He stood on the bridge of the constellation, watching the holographic display. The red dots that showed enemy ships had changed color. They were now gray. Gray meant no power. Gray meant no threat. But Morrison did not trust it. He had fought in enough battles to know that traps could look like gifts. The enemy could be waiting for humanity to let its guard down. Then they would strike. "Report," he said to Lieutenant Cole. "No change, sir," Cole replied. His voice was tired. He had been at his station for 18 hours straight. The Draconian ship showed no signs of activity. No weapons. No shields. No life support. "No life support?" Commander Webb said. She stepped closer to the sensor display. "Are you saying they are all dead?" "I am saying their life support systems are not working," Cole said carefully. "What that means for the crew, I cannot say from here." Morrison made a decision. He could not wait forever. He needed to know what had happened to the enemy fleet. "Commander Webb," he said, "I want you to lead a reconnaissance team. Take 3 scout ships. Approach the nearest Draconian vessel and find out what is going on." Webb nodded. She had been expecting this order. She gathered her team quickly. 3 small ships left the constellation and flew toward the silent Armada. The trip took 2 hours. The Draconian ships grew larger on the view screens. Up close, they were even more frightening. Their black hulls were covered with weapons and armor. Each ship was built for one purpose only. Webb's ship approached the nearest vessel. It was a cruiser, about 2 kilometers long. The ship was completely dark. No lights, no movement, nothing. "I am not reading any signs of life," said Lieutenant Amy Turner. She was the team's science officer. Her face was pale as she looked at her instruments. "The ship appears to be dead." Webb ordered her pilot to bring them alongside the cruiser. They found an airlock on the ship's hull. It was closed, but it had no power. They used cutting tools to open it. The inside of the Draconian ship was dark and cold. The team wore spacesuits with lights on their helmets. The beams cut through the darkness like knives. They found the first body after only 50 meters. It was a Draconian soldier. He was tall, almost 3 meters. His skin was covered with green scales. His eyes were yellow and shaped like a snake's. He had 4 arms and a long tail. He was sitting at a control panel. His hands were still on the buttons. He was dead. Webb checked for signs of life. There were none. The Draconian was cold. He had been dead for hours. "What killed him?" Turner asked. Her voice shook. Webb looked at the body carefully. There were no wounds, no blood, no marks of any kind. The Draconian looked like he had simply stopped living, like someone had turned off a switch inside him. "I do not know," Webb said. "Keep moving." They explored more of the ship. Every room was the same. Dead Draconians everywhere. Some were at their stations. Some were in hallways. Some were in what looked like sleeping quarters. All of them were dead. All of them showed no signs of injury. Webb counted over 300 bodies in just one section of the ship. If the rest of the ship was the same, there could be thousands of dead aliens on board. She reported her findings to Admiral Morrison. "They are all dead?" Morrison asked. He sounded like he did not believe it. "Yes, sir," Webb replied. "Every single one. No signs of violence. No signs of disease. They just died." "Check the other ships?" Morrison ordered. Teams were sent to other Draconian vessels. The results were the same everywhere. 412 ships. Nearly 2 million Draconian soldiers and crew. All dead. The news spread to Earth within hours. People did not know how to react. Some celebrated. The enemy was gone. Earth was safe. But many others felt a deep unease. Something had killed 2 million beings in an instant. What was it? And could it kill humans too? President Harper called an emergency meeting of the Terran Council. Scientists and military leaders gathered to discuss what had happened. Nobody had any answers. Dr. Patricia Quinn was the chief science officer of the Terran fleet. She was brought to the Draconian flagship to study the bodies. She was a small woman with gray hair and thick glasses. She had spent her life studying alien biology, but she had never seen anything like this. "The bodies are perfectly preserved," she reported after 3 days of work. "Their cells are intact. Their organs show no damage. According to every test I can run, these beings should still be alive. But they are not," Morrison said. "No," Quinn agreed. "They are not. Something killed them instantly. Something that left no trace. Something that our instruments cannot detect." The mystery deepened. More scientists came from Earth. They brought better equipment. They ran more tests. But the answers did not come. Meanwhile, Webb continued to explore the Draconian ships. She found weapons that were far more advanced than anything humanity had built. She found star charts that showed the locations of dozens of alien civilizations. She found records of battles and conquests. The Draconians had been powerful. They had been feared across the galaxy. And they had been destroyed in a single moment. In one room, Webb found something different. It was a communication center. The screens were dark, but some data had been stored in the memory banks. Lieutenant Turner managed to access it. "These are sensor logs," Turner said. "From the moment the fleet stopped, they watched the data together. It showed the Draconian ships approaching Earth. It showed weapons powering up. It showed crews preparing for battle. And then it showed something else. A pulse of energy. It came from somewhere inside the solar system. It lasted less than a second. But it hit every Draconian ship at the same time. After the pulse, the sensor logs ended. There was nothing more to see. Where did that pulse come from?" Webb asked. Turner ran calculations on her computer. Her face went white when she saw the results. "The asteroid belt," she said. "The pulse came from somewhere in the asteroid belt." Webb looked at her team. They were all thinking the same thing. Something in their own solar system had saved them. Something powerful enough to kill 2 million aliens in an instant. The question was simple but terrifying. What was it? And had it been there all along? Webb sent her report to Admiral Morrison. The search for answers had just begun. 3 months had passed since the Draconian fleet died in Terran space. The world had changed in many ways. Fear had turned to curiosity. Panic had become investigation. Humanity wanted answers. A research station was built inside the Draconian flagship. Scientists from all over Earth came to study the dead aliens. They worked day and night. They tested everything they could find. Dr. Gregory Stone led the team. Stone was a tall man with a beard and serious eyes. He had spent 20 years studying alien life forms. Most of that time, he had worked with only bacteria and simple organisms. Now he had millions of complex alien bodies to examine. It was both a dream and a nightmare. The Draconians were remarkable creatures, Stone explained to his team one morning. Their biology is very different from ours. They have 2 hearts. Their blood is copper-based, not iron-based like ours. They can survive in extreme temperatures. They were built for war. But none of this explained why they had died. Stone worked with a young scientist named Hannah Price. She was an expert in alien brains and nervous systems. She was only 30 years old, but she was brilliant. Admiral Morrison had asked her to find out what had killed the Draconians. Price spent weeks examining Draconian brains. She used the most advanced scanning equipment available. And finally, she found something strange. "Look at this," she said to Stone one day. She pointed at an image on her screen. It showed a cross-section of a Draconian brain. Inside the brain tissue were tiny structures that glowed bright blue. "What are those?" Stone asked. "They are crystals," Price said. "Artificial crystals. Every Draconian has them. Thousands of them spread throughout the brain." Stone leaned closer to the screen. The crystals were beautiful in a strange way. They formed patterns that looked almost like circuits. "They are implants," Price continued. "The Draconians put them in their brains at birth. I have examined hundreds of bodies. Every single one has these crystals. What do they do?" Stone asked. "Many things," Price said. "They improve memory. They speed up thinking. They allow Draconians to communicate with each other without speaking. The crystals connect all Draconians into a kind of network." Stone understood the importance of this discovery. "You think the crystals are related to their deaths?" "I am certain of it," Price said. "Look at this." She changed the image on the screen. Now it showed the same crystals, but they looked different. They were cracked, broken, shattered. Every crystal in every Draconian is destroyed, Price explained. Something broke them all at the same time. And when the crystals broke, the Draconians died instantly. This was the first real answer they have found. But it led to more questions. What had broken the crystals? And how had it reached every Draconian at the same time? Meanwhile, Commander Webb was leading a different investigation. She had not forgotten the energy pulse that her team had detected. The pulse that had come from the asteroid belt. She took a small ship and flew to the location marked in the sensor data. It was a remote area, far from any shipping lanes or stations. There was nothing there except rocks and empty space, or so it seemed. Webb scanned the asteroids one by one. Most were ordinary rocks. Iron, nickel, silicon. Nothing special. But one asteroid was different. It was about 20 kilometers wide. It looked normal on the surface. Gray rock, covered with craters and dust. But the scanner showed something underneath. Something that should not be there. Webb landed her ship on the asteroid. She put on her spacesuit and walked to the location her scanner had marked. She found a crack in the rock. It was narrow, but she could fit through it. She climbed down into darkness. The crack led to a tunnel. The tunnel walls were smooth, not natural. Someone had made this. Webb turned on her helmet light and kept going. After 50 meters, the tunnel opened into a large chamber. Webb stopped and stared. The chamber was enormous. It was at least a kilometer wide. And it was filled with machines. Not human machines. Not Draconian machines. Something else entirely. The technology was beautiful and strange. Metal and crystal combined in ways that made no sense. Lights pulsed slowly in patterns Webb did not understand. The air hummed with power. In the center of the chamber was a single pillar. It rose from the floor to the ceiling, covered with symbols and designs. Webb walked toward it slowly. Her heart was beating fast. The symbols on the pillar looked familiar. She had seen shapes like these before. In books, in museums, on ancient structures on Earth. Webb took pictures of everything. Then she noticed something else. On the base of the pillar, there was a message. It was written in a language she did not recognize. But next to it was a translation. In English. The message said, "We watch. We protect. When you are ready, find us." Webb read the message 3 times. She did not understand. Who had written this? How did they know English? How long had this structure been here? She reported her discovery to Admiral Morrison and Dr. Stone. Within days, dozens of scientists arrived at the asteroid. They began to study the chamber and its machines. Dr. Quinn led the team that examined the central pillar. She worked for weeks, trying to understand its purpose. Finally, she made a breakthrough. "This pillar is a weapon," she announced. Or rather, it is the control center for a weapon. The energy pulse that killed the Draconians came from here. "How does it work?" Morrison asked. "It targets specific frequencies," Quinn explained. "The Draconian crystal implants operate on a very precise frequency. This weapon was designed to disrupt that exact frequency. When it fired, it destroyed every crystal in range." "In range?" Webb said. "The pulse killed Draconians across the entire fleet. That is hundreds of thousands of kilometers." "Yes," Quinn said. "This weapon has incredible power, but it is also incredibly precise. It only affected the Draconians. Nothing else was harmed." Morrison thought about this. "Who built it?" Quinn pointed to the symbols on the pillar. "I do not know. But these symbols match markings found on ancient sites on Earth. Stonehenge, the pyramids, the temples of South America. Whoever built this weapon also visited Earth thousands of years ago." The room went silent. Everyone understood what this meant. Humanity had never been alone. Something had been watching over them for a very long time. The message on the pillow repeated in Morrison's mind. We watch. We protect. When you are ready, find us. Who were they? And what did they want? The investigation was far from over. 6 months had passed since the discovery of the chamber beneath the asteroid. Scientists worked day and night to understand the alien technology. Dr. Patricia Quinn led the research team. She had never been more excited or more confused in her entire life. The chamber contained hundreds of machines. Most of them were too advanced to understand. The scientists could only guess at their purposes. But some things became clear over time. This is not just a weapon, Quinn told the Terran Council during a special meeting. It is a defense system. A very old defense system. Our best estimates suggest it has been here for at least 50,000 years. The council members looked at each other. 50,000 years ago, humans were still living in caves. They had not invented writing. They had not built cities. Yet someone had placed advanced technology in their solar system to protect them. Who built it? President Harper asked. We call them the Guardians, Quinn said. We do not know their real name. We do not know where they came from. But we know they have been watching Earth for a very long time. Quinn showed images on the screen. Ancient cave paintings from France. Carvings from Egypt. Stone tablets from China. All of them contained symbols that matched the markings in the chamber. The Guardians visited Earth many times throughout human history, Quinn explained. They left their marks everywhere. Our ancestors must have seen them. They must have seemed like gods. Admiral Morrison spoke next. The defense system was programmed to protect Earth from hostile threats. When the Draconian fleet arrived with weapons ready, the system activated automatically. It analyzed the enemy and found a weakness. Then it exploited that weakness. The crystal implants, President Harper said. Yes, Morrison confirmed. The system detected the implants in every Draconian brain. It calculated the exact frequency needed to destroy them. Then it fired a single pulse that killed every Draconian in the fleet. The council was silent for a moment. The implications were enormous. Someone had protected humanity without asking for anything in return. Someone had killed 2 million aliens to save Earth. Why? Asked one council member. Why would anyone do this for us? Quinn shook her head. We do not know. But we found more information in the chamber. The Guardians left records. Not complete records, but enough to understand some things. She changed the image on the screen. It showed a star map, but not like any human map. It showed thousands of star systems across the galaxy. Many of them were marked with symbols. The Guardians have been doing this for millions of years, Quinn said. They find young civilizations. Species that are just starting to explore space. Species that cannot yet defend themselves. And they protect those species. From what? Harper asked. From predators, Morrison said. The galaxy is not a friendly place. There are many powerful empires out there. Empires like the Draconians. They hunt young species for resources, for slaves, for sport. Without protection, most young civilizations do not survive. And the Guardians stopped them, Harper said slowly. Yes, they have protected dozens of species over millions of years. They watched those species grow. They kept them safe until they were strong enough to protect themselves. Commander Webb was also at the meeting. She had spent months studying the Guardian technology. She understood more about it than almost anyone else. There is something important we need to discuss, Webb said. The defense system saved us from the Draconians, but it will not save us again. The room went quiet. Everyone looked at Webb. What do you mean? Harper asked. The system was designed to protect young civilizations, Webb explained. But it has limits. It only activates once for each species. The Guardians believe that if a species cannot learn to defend itself after being saved once, then that species is not worth protecting. This was hard news to hear. Humanity had survived by luck, by the mercy of beings they had never met. But that mercy would not come again. The next time an enemy comes to Earth, Webb continued, we will have to fight them ourselves. The Guardians will not help us. President Harper stood up. She looked at the faces around the table. Some were afraid. Some were angry. Some were determined. Then, we must learn to protect ourselves, she said. We must become stronger. We must build better ships, better weapons, better defenses. We have been given a second chance. We must not waste it. The council agreed. Plans were made. Resources were gathered. Humanity began to prepare for a future it had never imagined. But there was more news to share. Dr. Quinn had discovered something else in the Guardian chamber. A message. It was hidden in the deepest part of the structure, protected by layers of security. The message is an invitation, Quinn said. The Guardians want to meet us. She showed the council a set of coordinates. They pointed to a location far beyond the edge of explored space, a place no human ship had ever gone. The message says that humanity has proven itself, Quinn continued. We showed courage when the Draconians came. We did not run. We were ready to fight even when we had no chance of winning. The Guardians were watching. They were impressed. What do they want from us? Morrison asked. They want us to join them, Quinn said. There is a community out there, a group of civilizations that passed the same test we passed. Species that were protected by the Guardians and then grew strong enough to protect others. The Guardians are inviting humanity to become part of that community. The news spread across Earth within hours. People gathered to watch President Harper's announcement. Billions listened as she explained what had been discovered. We are not alone, Harper said. We never were. The universe is full of life. Some of that life is dangerous, but some of it is kind. Some of it watched over us when we were weak. Some of it saved us when we could not save ourselves. Now they are asking us to join them, to take our place among the stars, to become something greater than we have ever been. She paused. The whole world held its breath. I believe we should accept this invitation. I believe we should build a ship, the greatest ship humanity has ever made. And I believe we should send our best people to meet the Guardians face to face. The vote was unanimous. The project began the next day. Humanity was going to meet its protectors at last. 1 year had passed since the Draconian Armada died in Terran space. The world had changed completely. Fear had become hope. Isolation had become connection. Humanity now knew it was part of something much bigger. The great ship was almost complete. It was called the TSS Horizon. It was the largest and most advanced vessel humanity had ever built. 3 kilometers long, powered by engines that could bend space itself, armed with weapons designed from Guardian technology. It was beautiful and powerful. Commander Catherine Webb walked through the ship's corridors. She had been chosen to captain the Horizon. It was the greatest honor of her life. In 3 days, she would lead a crew of 500 people on a journey to meet the Guardians. She stopped at a window and looked out. Earth, the blue planet, turned slowly below. She had been born there. She had grown up there. Soon she would leave it behind. Admiral Morrison found her standing at the window. He was older now. His hair was completely white, but his eyes were still sharp. Having second thoughts? He asked. Webb smiled. No, just saying goodbye. You will come back, Morrison said. I am certain of it. How can you be certain? Morrison thought for a moment. Because you are the most stubborn person I have ever met. The universe itself could not stop you from returning home. Webb laughed. It felt good to laugh. The past year had been full of hard work and serious decisions. There had been little time for joy. "I want to show you something," Morrison said. He handed her a small device. It was a datapad with a message on the screen. Webb read the message. It was from Dr. Gregory Stone. He had made another discovery in the Guardian chamber. "The Guardians left more records than we first thought," the message said. "We found information about other threats they stopped. The Draconians were not the first enemy to come for Earth. There were others. Many others." Webb looked at Morrison. "What does this mean?" "It means the Guardians have been protecting us for thousands of years," Morrison said. "Enemies have come to destroy humanity again and again. And every time, the Guardians stopped them. We never knew. We never even suspected." Webb thought about this. How many times had humanity been close to extinction? How many enemies had reached for Earth only to be struck down by invisible protectors? "Why did they not tell us?" she asked. "Perhaps they did not want us to know," Morrison said. "Perhaps they thought we would become lazy if we knew we were protected. Or perhaps they were waiting for the right time." "The right time for what?" "For us to be ready," Morrison said. "Ready to learn the truth. Ready to accept our place in the universe. Ready to become protectors ourselves." 3 days later, the TSS Horizon launched from Earth orbit. Millions of people watched from the surface. They cheered and cried and waved at the sky. Their best and bravest were leaving to meet the beings who had saved them. Webb sat in the captain's chair on the bridge. Around her, 500 crew members worked at their stations. Scientists, engineers, soldiers, diplomats. Each one chosen for their skills and their courage. "All systems ready," reported Lieutenant Amy Turner. She was the chief science officer. She had been with Webb since the beginning. "Set course for the Guardian coordinates," Webb ordered. "Maximum speed." The ship's engines hummed. Space bent around the vessel. Stars stretched into lines of light. And then the horizon jumped forward, faster than anything human had ever traveled. The journey took 6 weeks. During that time, Webb prepared her crew for what they might find. Nobody knew what the Guardians looked like. Nobody knew how they would communicate. Everything was uncertain. On the 42nd day, the horizon reached its destination. The coordinates led to a star system with 12 planets. Most of the planets were gas giants, colorful and vast. But one planet was different. It was rocky and blue, much like Earth, and it was covered with cities. "I am reading millions of life signs," Turner reported. Her voice was full of wonder. "Many different species. Some match records from the Draconian database. These are civilizations that were also protected by the Guardians." A message came through the communication system. It was not in any human language, but the ship's computers translated it instantly. "Welcome, humanity. We have been waiting for you." The voice was warm and kind. Webb felt tears forming in her eyes. She wiped them away quickly. "This is Commander Catherine Webb of the TSS Horizon," she replied. "We come in peace. We come to learn. We come to thank you for saving our world." "Your thanks are not necessary," the voice replied. "Your courage was your own. We only gave you the chance to show it." A ship appeared on the view screen. It was unlike anything Webb had ever seen. It was made of crystal and light, shifting colors as it moved. It was beautiful beyond words. "Please follow us," the voice said. "There is much to discuss, and there is much for you to see." The horizon followed the crystal ship to the blue planet. They landed in a city made of towers and gardens. Beings of many shapes and sizes gathered to greet them. Some were tall and thin. Some were short and round. Some had wings. Some had tentacles. All of them looked at the humans with curiosity and respect. One being stepped forward. It was humanoid but not human. Its skin was silver. Its eyes were deep purple. It moved with grace and power. "I am called Sentinel," the being said. "I speak for the Guardians. Welcome to the community of protected worlds." Webb stepped down from her ship. Her crew followed behind her. They stood on alien soil, surrounded by alien faces, under an alien sky. Yet somehow, it felt like coming home. "Why did you protect us?" Webb asked. It was the question everyone wanted answered. Sentinel smiled. At least, Webb thought it was a smile. "Because you are worth protecting," Sentinel said. "We have watched your species for 50,000 years. We have seen your wars and your kindness, your cruelty and your compassion, your fear and your courage. You are not perfect. No species is. But you have something special. A spark that burns bright, even in the darkest times." "What spark?" Webb asked. "Hope," Sentinel said. "No matter what happens, you never stop hoping. You never stop trying. You never give up. That is rare in the universe. That is precious. That is why we saved you. And that is why we welcome you now." Webb looked at her crew. She saw their faces full of wonder and emotion. They had traveled so far to hear these words. And now they understood. Humanity was not alone. It had never been alone. And now it had a family among the stars. The story of the Draconian Armada would be told for generations. How 400 ships came to conquer Earth. How they vanished without a trace. How their death led humanity to discover its true place in the universe. It was a story of mystery and fear. But most of all, it was a story of hope. And it was only the beginning.